This will be a quick video just to go over the updates to PolyCarver. If you're not familiar with PolyCarver, it's a tool I made to simplify the process of making curved cuts in 3D meshes before printing. I'll leave a card at the top and I'll link to the video in the description. Now let's go over what's new. The first big update is that the Mac version is up and working. You'll be able to download it at the same place you can download the PC version. The other big update is the mesh repair option. You can see this in the file menu. So what this is going to do is going to fix any issues with the mesh when it's being cut or when it's imported, which was causing the meshes to not cut properly and to not cap. So this will, how long this takes will vary based on how complex your mesh is and how badly it's broken. Like, for example, this Grogu mesh, it's about 500,000 polys. It's pretty dense and it comes in originally pretty broken, so it takes about 2 or 3 minutes to repair. But when I bring in a benchy, let's do that now. So you see here this pop-up when you load a mesh that is broken. It'll tell you what the issue is and ask if you want to repair it now or not. If you don't repair it, you can still have the ability to move around, but you just can't do anything. You can see up here that the menu is all grayed out and you're being asked to repair. So if you just hit the repair button, it'll run through the process. Now the benchy, I think this takes 10 or 15 seconds, yeah, well, 6 seconds. So it's not that big of a issue. So it's going to vary depending on your machine and what is going on with the actual mesh. Let me go back to, another feature while here. I've added the you recently loaded, so it'll remember the last 5 meshes you loaded. It's also going to remember what directory you're in when you load a mesh, so you don't have to constantly be jumping back and forth when you're opening different files. So first, let me make a cut here just to get 2 pieces. You can see I've also added a progress bar at the top, so you're not just waiting while it's processing. You can actually see what it's doing. But now that we have 2 pieces, I've also added that you can double click on the name and then you can rename each piece. And when exporting, it'll remember these names properly. Before it was just reordering the names. Also on the export, I've added 3 different options. So export pieces is what the original had, where it'll just take however many pieces you have and export 1 STL per piece. Export single will export it as 1 STL, but it'll keep all the different pieces. Meaning that if you bring this into a slicer, it'll come in as one spot, but then if you select, I think it's break to objects, it'll split it up to the pieces that you cut it to. And now you can also export to a 3MF file if you just want to load that into your slicer. Also, when exporting, it'll only export whatever is visible. So if you turn off a piece and now you export, it's only going to export the bottom. It'll ignore the top piece. The other big addition is I added what I'm calling a hole punch or a cookie cutter that I think I'd mentioned in my last video. So the way this works, when you select it, is just like the slicing option. So you go into the punch mode and you have 3 options: circle, square, and polygon. So we'll start with circle, and this is, as you would think, it draws a circle. Now the center dot, you can grab that and you can move this around anywhere on the mesh. And the green one, when you grab it and drag, it'll change the size of the actual circle itself, and you can see it's telling you what the physical diameter of that cut's going to be. So if we exit out, just like before, it'll draw where the hole is going to be punched through the mesh. But now I've also added the option to only partially cut through. So if we go back to, I can show you here. So if I turn off the through option, so now it's only punching here. It says 5 millimeters, so you can see the depth. That it's a little hard to see from the mesh. That's why I'm drawing the kind of grid around it. I'll see if I can make this any better in the future, but right now you can kind of see it's how far it's going to punch into your mesh. So if you wanted, you could come in here and change this, and you can see it update to how far. So now if we apply this, and now you have just a partial hole punched in it. Whereas if we go back and we punch another hole but leave it all the way through, now it's punching a hole straight through. Now looking at the square is very similar, except it draws a square as you would think. Same idea, you can grab the center part and move it around. Now you can grab each side and scale that to turn it into a rectangle, or you can grab the corner and scale the whole thing uniformly. Now if you hold control while clicking the center button and then scroll up and down, or move your mouse up and down, it's going to rotate it. So if you just grab the piece, you can move around the mesh, and then you hold control, and then as you move your mouse up and down, it'll let you rotate the mesh. So you can move it like this, and then the same idea, that has the same through option. Let me exit, where it's going to do the same thing. It's going to project only partially into the mesh, or it'll punch all the way through. So we'll just apply that, and there you go. And the last option is the poly, which lets you create a polygon as opposed to a geometric shape. So it starts as an octagon, or octagon, it's more than an octagon. But you can just grab each point and maneuver it wherever you want. And if you click on this edge, it'll create a new point. And then also you can hit D to delete that point if you don't want it. But this will let you, actually I think this is the example I had mentioned in the comments of the other video. If you needed to, say, cut out an eye from a mask, from like a helmet or something, you can trace the exact shape you want, and then you can, if this is a solid mesh, but like for example, say you only want to, you only need to punch it 10 millimeters through, hit apply. Now you can see it punched out at an eye. So if we, let me go over here and do it on this one. And then this one I'll let it go all the way through. Also, I don't know if you may have noticed when I was making the cuts, you can see this other grid pops up when you're in the cut mode. So this was someone that suggested this option, that when you're working, it's on the same plane that you're working on. So if you can have a grid as you're drawing your lines or you're placing your spots, if you want to try to equally place the mode across, you have some kind of reference. And if you don't want that, you can always turn the grid off. Let me check my notes here. I think that is all the major updates. The big change really was the repair feature, because not only does it repair at the beginning, but it also repairs while you're cutting. I didn't get it in this case. Let me load a Benchy and see if I can get it pop up there, because sometimes when you're making cuts, it will create a problem when it's capping it, whereas before it would just show those errors. Now it'll actually repair the mesh after the fact. So let's try, see if we can create an issue. There. So this cut, but then in the process of cutting it, it caused some issues with the meshes. So now it automatically detected that and will prompt you to repair. And again, you could say no and move around, but you can't proceed until you fix the errors before you can make more cuts. There we go. So you can see both sides are correct. If you turn on the wireframe, you can see what's going on. So that's about everything. For the Mac version, this also gives you the option to repair meshes, because most slicers don't allow you to do that, because they're using Windows specific libraries in the slicers to do that. So this will give you the option to repair your meshes if you're only on a Mac, which you would have normally had. And I think that's all for now. So hopefully this update fixes some of the issues. I know adding connectors was a big thing that people were asking, Now that I have the hole punching working, that is the next step. I've just got to figure out a good way of figuring out where to put the connector along the spline. But that'll probably be in the next update, along with a couple other things people had suggested. So make sure you let me know in the comments any other suggestions for features you might have, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what comes next. You can head over to PolyCarver.com to get more information about the app and download it there, or just follow the link in the description. Also in the description, there's a link to a free guide that I created called Creative Problem Solving for Makers. It explains the methods I use for dealing with issues on my projects and might be useful for stuff you're working on. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in improving how your prints look, I have a full playlist on the left that goes into finishing and post-processing. Or if you're more interested in the technical side of things, CAD, AI, advanced workflows, there's a whole playlist on the right that goes deeper into that.